Alright guys, so I have with me today an iPhone 8 Plus and a GoPro Hero 5 Black. I'm going to compare the two cameras and see which do better for filming flips or really any action shots in general. We're going to go over 3 different lightings: indoor lighting, outdoor lighting in the daytime, and outdoor lighting in the nighttime. And we're going to do 3 different frame rates. We're going to do just the default setting, 120 FPS at 25% slow-mo, and 240 FPS at 10% slow-mo. Without further ado, let's compare these cameras.
So this first clip is the iPhone. I'm just doing the round off. This is the default setting, and I believe that is 60 FPS at 1080p. You can see that the coloring is pretty good. The frame is good. It's a little bit closer than I would like it to be. My only real complaint about this is that the colors are a little extreme. If you look at the grass, you can see a lot of contrast. It's a little too much contrast between the darks and the lights, so things kind of blend together as opposed to popping out. And that's one thing I really like about this next clip. The GoPro Default, which I believe is 1080 at 30 FPS, you can see that the contrast isn't quite as high. I think it's just right, and if you really want to get the colors to pop out, you can go in and edit that later, and it really allows you to pop out while you're doing the flip instead of blending in with the background. Another big benefit that the GoPro has that I'm noticing is just the wide angle. You can get a lot more of the flip with that angle, whereas with the iPhone, it's a little bit harder when you're close up. Alright, so let's move on to the slow-mo, which I filmed at 1080 and 120 FPS. This first one is a quarter the speed, or 25%. The slow-mo is pretty buttery on the iPhone. It's looking good. Still, the contrast is there, so that's a little iffy. But other than that, I would say the slow-mo is pretty buttery smooth on that. I really like it. Now we're going to move on to the GoPro clip. Coloring is really good. Again, you can pop out a little bit more. Slow-mo is buttery smooth, beautiful. I'm going to bring it back a little bit and put it to 15%, see what we can do there. So you can see at 15% the iPhone's getting a little bit splotchy now, but it's still doing pretty good. If you put some optical flow in there using Final Cut Pro, which I use personally, then that'll turn out nice and buttery smooth. Not too much complaint there. Still looking pretty good at 15%. Let's see how the GoPro does at 15%. About the same. It seems like it's just a little bit better. But that could also just be because, again, the contrast. You can see your body popping out more because there's not as much contrast in the grass and the finer details. So you can see yourself a little bit more. Alright, so here right now we have this side flip. Still looking good. I'm not seeing any streaks. This is at 25%. Looking pretty buttery smooth. GoPro here. I would say same deal. Same dealio there. So I'm going to say as far as outdoor lighting goes, this definitely has the advantage. The GoPro definitely has the advantage, mostly just because of the contrast. It allows you to pop out a lot more as opposed to the iPhone, which is still really good and buttery smooth and whatnot, but it's just kind of blended with the background a little bit more. So let's move on to the next slow-mo, which is 240 frames per second at the highest that both offer, which I believe is 720. Even though the iPhone says it's 1080, I'm having a hard time believing that, considering that the graphics are a little bit iffy. I put this at 10% slow motion. Like I said, the iPhone says that it's at 1080, but like honestly, if you just look at it, you could tell that it's a little bit blurry. I would say that this is more around 720. Something that's a little difficult for me when using the iPhone at 240 FPS is that it has a really hard time focusing. So if you're trying to focus your target, your flipper or whoever, and it kind of blurs in and out. And so that's kind of a major bummer. The slow-mo is good at 10%, but again, you're going to have to sacrifice some quality for that. Moving on to the GoPro. The GoPro zooms in significantly, and it bleaches out a lot of the color. But the slow-mo is looking really good. I'd have to say the slow-mo is better on the GoPro. However, because it zooms in so much and blotches out a lot of color, you're sacrificing the wide frame that I was mentioning earlier, so it's going to be a lot harder for you to keep it in frame. As you can see here, my cameraman was having some difficulty keeping it in frame because it's not exactly accurate to what it's displaying. But it's definitely a lot crisper of a view than the iPhone, and you could pop it in and edit some contrast into it and brighten up the colors a little bit. So again, I would have to say that the GoPro wins here. We're going to bring it down to 5% just to see how much we can push this thing. So this is the iPhone at 5% slow motion. Still looking really, really good. I put in some optical flow to make it a little more buttery smooth, see what it can do. And then this is the GoPro same clip. So again, I would have to say the GoPro does a little bit better with the slow-mo. So I'd have to say my conclusion here is if you're filming outside doing flips, then the GoPro Hero 5 Black is definitely the way to go over the iPhone. But now we need to go and see what's up with the indoor lighting. So that's going to be next. Alright, so again, the first clip that we have here is the iPhone Default, which I believe again is 68 FPS at 1080. So prior to filming this, the past 2 days I've actually been doing a lot of flips. I've been flipping at least 2 hours a day, and I went swimming both days before, and so I'm really sorry, so please forgive me for these terrible, trashy flips. You can see the pain, the excruciating pain on my face as I'm doing this for you guys. So please leave this video a like, a thumbs up, whatever you want to call it, because I'm in pain. But I did this video nonetheless for you guys. Move over to the GoPro, and the colors are definitely not as crisp, and it's a lot more grainy. And I think just comparing the two, the obvious winner here is the iPhone 8 Plus. Alright, so moving on to the slow-mo. We got 120 FPS, iPhone. This is in 25%. The lighting is still pretty true. The slow-mo's looking good. It's a little bit blurrier than if it were to be outside, but it is still good slow-mo considering the lighting. Move on to the GoPro, and yeah, the quality goes down a lot. There's a lot of blur in here, and the color is still just as bad. I mean, honestly, it looks like it's filming in 24 or 30 FPS trying to squish this into slow motion. So, I mean, the obvious winner here is going to be the iPhone, because not only is the color better indoor, but it actually does some pretty good slow-mo. As we move on to 240 FPS, the quality goes down a little bit in the iPhone. You can see the lights flickering and a little bit grainy on the walls. However, the slow-mo is still pretty good, and I'm fairly impressed with that. And the colors are still fairly vibrant, at least compared to what the GoPro has, which makes it much darker. Zooms in quite a bit, which makes it really, really hard, especially for indoor, because you don't have as much space to do flips indoors, so you're going to have to film closer. The slow-mo, surprisingly, is actually better on the 240 FPS as opposed to when you're punching it in at 120 FPS. I guess it's just focusing harder or something. But again, the quality goes down so much, I would say that it's not worth it, and that the iPhone kicks its butt in indoor slow motion or indoor filming in general. So the iPhone is the obvious winner here. We can see the same deal with the side flip. Yeah, the iPhone is the obvious winner. And now it's going to be time for us to move on to night lighting, which I am pretty sure is bad for both of them. But we'll pick the lesser of the two evils. Alright, so here we go into the twilight zone. Here is the iPhone Default. It is blurry as all get out, and you can barely see me. The only reason you can really see me is thanks to my white shirt. Let's see, the GoPro. The GoPro is, I would have to say, even worse. Like, at least you can see my dark skin in the night lighting, but with the GoPro you can only see this invisible shirt floating around. So let's go to slow motion, 120 FPS. This is at 25%. It is super blurry, cannot focus to save its life. This is the iPhone right here. And then we go to the GoPro. Yeah, that's gonna have to be it's gonna have to be a no. You can still only see the white shirt, and it's even more grainy, and it is not buttery smooth whatsoever. It's choppy as a kitchen knife. Alright, so side flip, same deal. Still nice and blurry. At least you can see the yellow on my shirt, and you can see that my skin exists and I'm not just an invisible man. Whereas the GoPro, yeah, you just pretty much just see the white grain on my shirt, and it just looks like an invisible man wearing a white shirt. That's about it. So we move over to 240 FPS with the iPhone. Yeah, you can barely even see that there's a white shirt. Would not recommend filming outside with either of these cameras, but especially in slow-mo as the quality goes down even further. GoPro, yeah. GoPro, you can literally only see the reflection of my little reflector tag on my pantaloons. So that's about it. So if you are going to be filming outside, if you must film outside, then the iPhone is the obvious way to go. Slow-mo or no slow-mo. However, I would not recommend using either one of them for outdoor cameras.
Alright, so those are just my personal thoughts and feelings about the iPhone versus the GoPro. If you're doing it outdoor, then the GoPro kicks the iPhone's butt, but if you're doing it indoor and low lighting in general, then the iPhone has to take the cake for that. But if you're filming in total darkness, outside in the dark or whatever, in the bathroom for whatever reason, then they both suck. Those are just my personal thoughts on the iPhone versus GoPro. If you have any other thoughts, or maybe you think I left anything out, go ahead and comment it in the section below. Go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, and let me know if you think I missed anything. Comment all your feelings in the comment section below. Until next time, mates. Ciao.